Well, let's start with that. I mean, at this stage of a season, does not having a midweek match for the first time in ages, are there any benefits to that to you, what you can do on the training ground?
We had a game Tuesday, reserve game, so that went out the window. Now we just get on with it. I know what you mean, saying that. Just footballers are used to it, aren't they? Sometimes there's a midweek, sometimes there isn't. So we just build our week around it. Different weeks, different problems.
And is that why it's so important, I guess, pre-season? Because you get so little time during the campaign, and you sort of get into your, this is how we play, we're doing it this way, that's how we play, we're doing it that way, because you can't really change too much given the restraints you have.
I don't know, I'm not so sure about that. I think you still get plenty of time on the training field if you want it, and we want it, we want to work on things. So I know what you're saying there, is in you get a 6-week period of being able to, say, get more organised as such, and yeah, there is a balance when you've got the 3 games in a week of getting the training period right and the rest recovery for certain players and whatnot. But it's worked well, to be honest, the 2.5 years how we work on things, and why change things that isn't, just change something that's not broke. So we keep working the way we're going.
So just give us an idea without telling us exactly what you do. What kind of things can you tweak during? What are the kind of things that you do work on?
You sound like one of me course tutors, these James. Try and give all my secrets away, do you? So basically we have a cup of tea in the morning, right? Then I have a few midget gems which my goalie coach brings in, and then we go out on a training pitch and we'll go and work on certain areas of the game that need improving, which is everything. Then I come in and have a bit of dinner, and I assessing all the opposition and all your bits and pieces. So it's full on. Every manager, every coach works different ways. I don't particularly want to give too much away how I do things. Not like anybody wants to pinch my ideas anyway, because I'm useless. But we work on all sorts of different things. You never crack this game, and there's always areas in games that you need to improve on. But I do work. I don't mind saying I do work on the next project and not look too much in the past.
And you say that you've always got to improve, otherwise you're standing still and going backwards effectively. Is it important to find the players? Because I guess some players feel they've cracked it when they get into football, and they're finding the ones who are receptive to that.
That's great. That's a good key point, to be honest with you. I think when you're on good runs, there's a time where certain players can get overconfident and think they've cracked it, which is where I get my broomstick out and start whacking them, because that is the key for me of building runs, and it's something we've done for the last 2.5 years is build consistent runs, and the only way you do that is by keeping on top of players and making sure they're performing. And we certainly do that, and we try and do that to make sure that there isn't complacency steps in, and that every time we cross that line for a match day, that we're ready and we're focused for the game plan and the job in hand.
The 2 Chelsea lads obviously got the goals last weekend. Are you surprised at how well so many of these young players now adapt to playing football when it's their first real experience of it? Yeah,
they've done very well. Obviously, all my loans have done well, which to be honest with you, loans can be hit or miss. But for me, I think certainly the early part of the season's shown that they've come in and made a difference and improved the squad. But they can only come in and make a difference for me is because of the strength and the united front we have in our already existing squad, and they become pretty much outcasts if they don't fit into the way we do things here. So that's very important. I'm sure if you speak to the loan players, they'll tell you about the spirit and the desire in the group we've got, and you have to have that in your change rooms before you can even welcome people to your group. And it's for me, it's what's built the success over the last couple of years.
But it must be quite an intimidating thing to come into, not just here at any football club. You're coming into an established dressing room with lots of senior players, and a lot of them can be a little bit nervous, a little bit shy to start with. Some of them not so much, admittedly.
I will say, you're joking, aren't you? Hey, youth for today. Listen, you've got all sorts of different ones. I think a lot of young lads nowadays are very confident, aren't they? But there's a way you bring that confidence across, to be honest. I'm sure certainly the boys that have come in are confident lads, but without being the arrogant and think they've cracked it sort of attitude with them. So they don't bring that. But there's a lot of young players that do think that quickly fall by the wayside. I mean, I'm pleased that the lads that have come in have shown a willingness to want to do well.
Okay. Peterborough this weekend, and not far behind you in the table, and traditionally a good League One team.
Very good. They've got a very demanding owner. I think their squad's worth about 3 million on transfer fees. I think I've spent 50,000, so I think I've got plenty of money to spend, haven't I? So Yeah, no, it's a club that they expect to be in the top six. Rightly so. The owners, the owner gets a bit of stick for me. He rightly gets to do that because of the amount of money he's put into the club, and he expects to be in the Championship. So you would do if you'd spent that sort of money over the years. They've done well in the market as well. I'm not, they've sold 1 or 2 players, but it's certainly a team which are having a right good go. So we expect a very, very tough game.
And you're on a nice little run yourself. These every time you tick over another unbeaten game, it just it helps build that momentum.
Yeah, it's chip paper. Runs, I mention about it all the time. Just got to forget about that. You got to forget about teams that have had bad runs when you're playing against them. Just get on with it. It's another game with 11 men versus 11 men in it.
But do you as a player, you must have felt that there are days you go into work and you feel a bit like, well, you've done something good. You go in the next day, you start to look
I
out
don't have the other way. I don't really have the other way. It's a mental weakness, isn't it? Really. So you wouldn't have been a footballer, because obviously you get too down. So it's just it's a mental mindset, isn't it? If you've had a bad game, just put it to bed. If you've had a good game, put it to bed and get on to the next game. So that's the key focus for me. I've had lots of players this season have bad games. I've had lots of players have good games, but you just got to, like I say, just move on to the next game. And if you've had a bad one, try and have a good in the next one.